Yo, what's poppin'? Welcome back to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining us today. Today, full card predictions for Cannonier versus Caio on Borralho, UFC Vegas 96. Looking forward to the main event. Now, we got like a 2-week break after this one, so got to make this card count. Only 10 fights on this card so far. Maybe the UFC makes some late additions for this card. For a change, it's nice to only get 10 fights to research, because fight research is a very, very long process, right? If you're spending between, on average, 1 hour on each fighter, 10 fights on a card, it's basically another full-time job. But to get an edge in these markets, which are very, very highly competitive and making money from betting, it's very, very difficult, right? So you've got to put in the work. Also, make sure, I highly recommend you guys to sign up for one of my Patreon tiers. Start the Patreon. Over time, the Patreon benefits are going to get better. So in the meantime, it's fairly cheap. You've got $14.99 a month for my Money Team entry. That's just for my pre-fight betting tips. For now, it's just going to be the betting tips. But over time, once I work the systems out a bit more, I can start including more content, more stuff that's going to benefit you guys. Although I do recommend the Elite tier because you get access to my live betting service. If you're watching the fights week in, week out, you've got to be live betting. It's a very, very good money maker, which I highly recommend. Live betting has helped me grow my bankroll substantially over the years. And yeah, so link down below. Feel free to check it out. Anyways, without further ado, let's get right into the breakdowns. So, first fight of the night we got Wang Cong versus Victoria Leonardo. Now, Wang, she comes from like a Sando background. Sorry if I'm butchering that. It's like a Chinese martial art where it combines elements of kickboxing and wrestling. Her style, she looks to maintain distance, land accurate strikes, and she's a fighter who definitely feels comfortable at fighting a range. There's only 3 fights of film footage on her, so she is a little bit unproven, but she does look pretty clean, pretty technical, looks pretty solid so far for what we've seen so far. But you've got to be careful, right? Only a record of 5-0. So yeah, there's only 3 fights of footage. Now, she's facing a decent matchup here, in my opinion. She's facing Victoria Leonardo. She's, I don't want to get too disrespectful, but pretty low level fighter. She really lacks like the athleticism to really push in that division. With her striking, she often misses with her strikes and struggles getting distance for landing range. This is a common mistake that a lot of amateurs make in fighting, right? You have to use your footwork and get inside combat distance to be able to land your strikes. She will attempt to mix up her wrestling and grappling, but she's not like a super duper strong wrestler. Obviously, the UFC is trying to set Wang up here for a win. It's kind of cruel matchmaking. Like, Victoria Leonardo is a fighter that the UFC uses to push prospects. For instance, she fought Natalia Silva, complete mismatch. She fought Gatto, who's decent. She fought Manon Fiorot. So yeah, the UFC are not doing her any favours here. I think Wang is the more likely winner in this matchup. I think a decision's probably a safer option, but I don't think a finish is completely out of the equation. Now we're going to go over to the betting line now. So Wang is currently odds of 1.10. So what's that? Like, break even is around 90%. So to make any profit on that line, you have to win basically 10 out of 10 bets. So you can't play that line straight, too risky. I know some people are probably going to chuck that into a parlay early on in the week. I mean, maybe around 1.29, you could have done something there, but at this moment, it's probably going to be a pass fight for me from a betting perspective. So yeah, overall, I'm going to pick Wang in this matchup, but from a betting perspective, it's probably dog or pass, right? Just because of the betting odds. So, next fight we have here, we got Jacqueline Cavalcanti versus Josiane Nunes. Sorry if I butchered Jacqueline's name, probably butchering it again. So this fight, I'm low-key looking forward to this one. I think it's mainly going to be predominantly going to be a striking matchup. Now, Nunes, she's like a southpaw, boxing, brawling type of striker, and she packs a punch. Her ground game's a joke, and she's really, really weak off her back. She's very, very undersized in the division. She's 5'2", and can often struggle against taller fighters, so that's something to keep in mind. But yeah, her style, southpaw, brawling, boxing style, can pack a little bit of a punch. Cavalcanti, when it comes to her striking and her style, she likes to fight on the outside, looks to kind of like chip away and on the outskirts, and just kind of like pick out our opponents. She likes to fight. She likes to keep the fight pretty and clean and technical. The grappling is a little bit of an unknown. So prediction, I'm actually kind of leaning towards Nunes here. I think she can give Jacqueline an uncomfortable fight. I think she can land some hard shots in this matchup. And yeah, I'm going to pick Nunes here. Of course, I could definitely see a scenario where Jacqueline is just able to kind of maybe just keep the fight clean, keep it technical, keep it pretty, just kind of outpoint Nunes. That's 100% a scenario. But how I'm feeling at the moment, I'm thinking Nunes' aggression, she's going to be able to get inside the distance, she's going to be able to land the larger shots, but there's always that unpredictability factor with fighting, and you've got to kind of cover all bases. So yeah, I could definitely see Jacqueline winning. And one of the reasons why I'm picking Nunes is because of the betting line, which I'm going to go to right now. We'll go to the betting line. So Jacqueline opened a pick'em. She's now 1.54. I know some tout money came in on Jacqueline. Nunes 2.60. See, I agree more with the opener. I think the opener is more of a fair line, 1.91. So I actually think the value is on the underdog right now. Of course, as mentioned, don't want this to be a cop-out, but as a bettor, as a gambler, you kind of have to cover all bases. You kind of have to have like a pessimistic view. You have to, be non-biased and just have tunnel vision on just one particular outcome. Because see a scenario where Jacqueline is able to outpoint her, outkick her, win a pretty clean technical kickboxing fight. But I'm actually going to pick the underdog here in Nunes. So I think I spoke about that fight quite a lot. So next fight we have here, we've got Slava Borshchev versus James Llontop. Now, this is going to be I think it's predominantly going to be a striking fight. So Slava, very, very solid boxing style of striker. His boxing skills is honestly really good. I like he's got clean hands, good technique, powerful, can be dangerous. However, his ground game's a joke, defensive grappling's a joke, and he's got bad durability. He's definitely been a little bit chinny, questionable chin. James Llontop, on the other hand, I'm struggling to get a super duper strong read on this guy just because he's been facing low level guys, but pretty basic striker from what I've seen, and mainly just predominantly a striker. Can mix up some grappling, but I'm not really seeing anything too special. I don't see like an it factor. With Slava, I see like an it factor when it comes to his boxing, and I see why the betting market was actually steaming Gabe Green when he was booked in that matchup against Llontop. And he's also got some really, really bad tattoos. So, obviously, matchup and skills matter the most, right? But, can you read questionable life decisions, getting dodgy face tattoos? So, I am going to pick Slava here. I think it's a good step down in competition for him. And he should win, but obviously, he is chinny, bad ground game. So, there's definitely some risk factors with the Slava side. We don't know too much about Llontop here, so you could come in amazing. But what I'm seeing so far, I have to go with Slava here. He just has that it factor for me, while Llontop, I don't really see it with him. Now we're going to go over to the betting line. So Slava is 1.45 currently. Now, you've got to be careful with that line, in my opinion, because break-even's around 70%. And as mentioned, bad chin, bad durability, can get chinned, bad ground game. and he can get a little bit gassy, so you have to consider all those factors, right? When you're laying a steep line like this, definitely got some risk factors, but overall I am going to pick Slava, but have a bad gut feeling about it. You know, he could get chinned, could get grounded, anything can happen, cage fights to the death. So yeah, betting line, not too keen on Slava. So next fight we got Zachary Reese versus Medina. So Medina, he's just like a aggressive brawler style of fighter. Reese, he's been smoking guys so quickly. To me, he's still a little bit unproven. We don't really know too much of his game when it goes outside of round 2, round 3. How does he fare in the decision, etc. But he looks pretty good, pretty clean, pretty technical. But to me, he's still a big unknown and unproven at this stage. I'm going to go over to the betting line, but I'm going to pick Reese here. Just think he's clean and technical. I think the UFC likes this guy, and they're giving him a good matchup here against Medina. He should be the better fighter. Betting line here, 1.24. Yeah, I mean, that doesn't really get me excited. Too many unknowns with Reese still, from my perspective. I know there's some guys that are really big and really high on him, but I can't be laying a price like that, just too unproven. Medina's aggressive, he's broad, he's going to come forwards, he could make it an uncomfortable fight. But yeah, overall, I'm going to pick Reese in this spot. Cool. So, next fight we have here, we got Danny Silva versus Dennis Buzukja. Now, this fight is predominantly going to be a striking fight in my opinion. You got two contrasting styles. You got Buzukja, who's like a southpaw kickboxing style. I'm not super duper impressed with what I've seen. He's pretty basic. I don't see his ceiling as super duper high inside the UFC. Obviously, he's faced some tough guys, fought Emmas, etc. Now, Danny Silva, his style, he is an aggressive boxing style of attacker. Good boxer, is a dog, and will fight hard for your money, which I love, right? You want to be putting money on those guys who are going to come forwards, won't give up on themselves, and keep coming forward. So, overall, aggressive boxing style of attacker. I think this fight's more likely going to go to a decision, but I'm going to pick Danny Silva here. I'm not too big on Buzukja, but Buzukja could possibly come in and surprise me. But overall, I'm going to go with Danny Silva here in this fight. I just prefer his boxing style of attack. I like how he's going to fight hard for my money. He's going to come forwards and yeah, make it a dogfight. Go over to the betting line. So Danny Silva 1.37. Obviously that's a steep line, right? It's a striking fight at the end of the day. MMA fights can play quite competitive, but personally, I think Danny Silva is the more likely winner in this matchup. So overall, I'm going to pick Danny Silva in this fight. So next fight, we got Edmen Shahbazyan versus GM3. Now, GM3 veteran, 36 and 17. UFC doesn't match this guy up nicely. Use him as a gatekeeper. He's long, rangy, southpaw striker. He's not like the most athletically gifted fighter. Obviously, he's known for having that submission game. Can go for chokes, etc. But he doesn't really have strong offensive grappling skills to really get the fight down to the ground and implement his wrestling. Of course, he was able to take down Borralho. Don't entirely trust his chin at this stage of his career. Edmen Shahbazyan, explosive, powerful, aggressive, good striker, but he definitely fatigues as the fight progresses. Don't entirely trust his cardio. But it's crazy to think this guy's only 26. Would you look at the guys he's been facing? He's not being matched up nicely, has he? And there's a lot of hype on him at one point. Look, he's fought Flavio Hernandez, Marvov, Jack Manson, Derek Brunson, Brad Tavares. So the UFC had a lot of high hopes for this guy. I think everyone did. We'll go over to the betting line in a second, but overall I am going to pick Edmen Shahbazyan. I think the explosiveness, the youth, the striking, I think he could get the fight done early, but If he goes all out for the kill, GM3 is able to survive, then things could definitely get sketchy, right? So betting line, we see Edmen 1.31. Obviously, Edmen could make it look really, really easy, come out, smoke GM3. But I think that's a steep line. I'll be careful. I still have some question marks with Edmen. Obviously, he's talented, young fighter. He's been thrown into the deep end. He's probably going to be making improvements fight to fight. And he could definitely finish the fight early. But we have seen him kind of flake out as the fight progresses if he's not able to get a finish early. So overall, I'm going to pick Edmen here, but I'm not in love with the betting line. So next fight we have here, we got Neil Magny versus Michael Morales. Now, this fight, interesting matchup. I like this Michael Morales. As Dana White will say, I like this Michael Morales kid. So Morales, explosive, powerful, great athlete, making improvements fight to fight, great striking skills, very dynamic striker. He's also a big welterweight. I think he's a guy who's eventually going to have to move up to middleweight eventually. That's like my little prediction. When it comes to his grappling looks okay. His defensive grappling looked fun against Griffin. I know everyone holds that Giles fight against him, but he looked a little bit nervy there. That was his debut. He was only like 22 there. So he definitely looked a little bit jittery, a little bit nervy in that fight, but he still got the job done, right? Still got the win. I'm pretty high on this guy, pretty high on Morales, high on his upside potential. I can definitely see Morales becoming a top contender inside the UFC. Magny on the other hand, true veteran for sure. He's definitely on the decline, and the UFC uses this guy as a gatekeeper. He's very long, rangy when it comes to striking on the feet. He throws a ton of volume, pushes the pace, utilizes height and reach advantage. He's a true grinder and a true weasel. Talking of grinding, he loves using a clinch. He's very effective in a clinch. He loves pushing the guys, gets up in the clinch, making an uncomfortable fight, grinding. And it can be frustrating, right? For the opponents, getting pushed up against the fence. And if you're betting against them, then yeah, it could be frustrating as well as a bettor. If he is taken down though, he does have a weak defensive grappling aspect game. Does look weak off his back. Now Neil Magny, he's got to control the range, use his jab, use his reach, keep Morales at bay, frustrating the younger fighter and avoiding the power shots. You should also wear on Morales, engaging in the clinch, using his grappling, and just make an uncomfortable fight. But overall, I'm gonna have to pick Morales. I just like his explosiveness. I'm pretty high on this guy. I like his career trajectory, and overall, Morales is going to be my pick. But we're going to go over to the betting line in a second. So Morales 1.15. So you're not getting any discounts here to bet this line, right? It's a steep line, but I think Morales should get the job done. I think he is the more likely winner. So I am going to pick Morales here to get this win. So next fight we have here, we got Angela Hill versus Tabatha Ricci. This is the co-main event. We're flying through this card. So Angela Hill, fighter I like, fighter been back in throughout the years. I think she's pretty underrated. I know her record's like 17 and 13, but yeah, best 17 and 30 fighter, 13 fighter in the UFC. Like with Hill though, you just kind of worry one of these days that she's going to fall off a cliff. She's 39 now. Obviously, she's probably a fighter who keeps herself in very good shape. She's always training, etc. But at this age, randomly one day they just fall off a cliff, right? Good Muay Thai striker, gotta come forwards, effective in a clinch, seasoned veteran, high output, high volume, and yeah, overall I do like her game though. Now Ricci, on the other hand, her striking's definitely been improving. She's definitely been developing her striking skills. She'll look to like utilize boxing. Really, she looks to really just go for it, brawl, and she uses a brawling style of striking to set up her grappling and overwhelm opponents. I think she's like a good like mid-level strawweight. She'll fight half of your money, and she's a weasel. She's good at getting split decision wins. A lot of people scored the fight for TJ Pennington, and she also managed to weasel a split decision against Lupita Godinez. So yeah, prediction standpoint, I mean, this is a hard fight to predict, tricky fight to predict. I could see this one going either way. That's why the line's close, right? We'll go over to the betting line in a minute. But normally I'd pick Angela Hill, but my gut says Tabatha Ricci here. I think she just finds a way to kind of weasel a close, competitive decision in this matchup. And she's 10 years younger. Obviously, Angela Hill's still performing at a high level. She's still a solid fighter. Still like her game, but 10-year advantage for Ricci. And yeah, so I'm going to pick Ricci here to grind out a competitive decision. We're going to go over to the betting line. Ricci 1.93, Hill 1.88. So it's basically a pick 'em line. Hard to disagree with that. I think this fight should go to I think the overs should really hit here, over 2.5 rounds, but 1.20, steep line, anything can happen in a cage fight, right? But yeah, overall, I'm going to pick Ricci here to grind out a close competitive decision, but it's going to be a low confidence pick. So we're going to go to the main event of the evening. I want to say thank you so much for everyone tuning in. I super duper appreciate it. Please make sure to like, comment, sub, all that cliche YouTube stuff. If you're looking for my official bets, looking for my live betting service, please feel free to check out my Patreon. And without further ado, let's get right into this. So this is a good fight, sick fight, high level fight. So I'll start off with Caio. So Caio's a guy I've actually been pretty high on overall. Overall style, he's got like a wide karate stance on the feet. He looks to dart in and out and looks to land like precision shots or striking. He's also a high level BJJ black belt. He has very, very good takedown entries. He does slow down a bit, but he fights through it well. He's very, very explosive. He's a good athlete, so I can see why he slows down. As mentioned, overall, I am pretty big on Caio. I do think he's a high level fighter. Cannonier, on the other hand, I've liked Cannonier throughout the years. Good athlete, good low kicks, powerful, can switch stances, good striking technique, excellent takedown defense and get up game, very hard to hold down. And I think he's a guy who's definitely been peaking later on throughout his career. He used to fight at heavyweight, look how chiseled he is now. But I do think this guy, recently from what I'm seeing, I do think he is on a decline. And some classic signs I'm seeing of a decline is that his chin is going. For instance, he was getting hurt and wobbled against Marvin Vettori. Vettori is not a power puncher at all, really. And he was getting hurt and dinged against Imavov. And against Imavov, another classic sign that I see with fighters who are on decline and on the tail end of their career is that they fatigue and slow as the fight progresses. He was going to the clinch a lot against Imavov, and he was actually trying to wrestle Imavov, which was slowing him down. So yeah, obviously he's still a good fighter. I'm not going to completely write him off, disrespect him, but I do think he is on decline. He got dinged quite a bit only 1 month ago, so at his age, etc. And I don't think the UFC are doing him any favours here. I think Caio's a guy that they want to push, and that's why they give Caio this matchup here. And I think if you're just talking timing, I think Conor McGregor used to say timing is key in a fight game, or something along those lines before, Conor went into the deep end and was drinking too much and yeah, whatever. But timing is key in the fight game, and I think when it comes to timing, Caio's catching Cannonier at a good time. So overall, it's one of those matchups where I don't look at it and go, wow, Caio is the way better striker. He should completely dominate on the feet. Like, he's going to completely 10 levels ahead on striking, or a situation where it's like, wow, even though Caio has a very, very high level BJJ black belt and good wrestling and takedown game, he's going to completely run through Cannonier when it comes to grappling, because Cannonier's got a good takedown defense. I just think the kind of age, that's what's making me pick towards the Caio, and also with my gut being high on Caio for years, so I'm gonna have to pick Caio in this spot. We're gonna go over to betting line. It's just been pretty much one-way action on Caio, and 1.549. It's a steep line. Break even's around 66%, I believe. So you're not getting really any discounts. Maybe you got some of the earlier lines on the Caio, just maybe. You could justify a bet. But overall, I think I'd rather be on the Caio side, but I think people will make some strong arguments for Cannonier. I can see it. Good fighter, solid fighter, good athlete, good striker, but I just think with the career trajectories, Caio's the side for me and the pick. Prediction, I could see a finish, I could see a decision. Feels like guesswork to me, right? But Cannonier is pretty tough. But you know, I'm struggling with the method of victory. My gut says decision, but I could definitely see a finish as well. So those are the end of the breakdown. I suppose I'll quickly go through the card one more time. Wang versus Leonardo. Wang should win, but I think from a betting perspective, the value is probably on Leonardo, and the price, you probably want to be on the Leonardo side from the price perspective, right? Because break even on that's about, I don't know, 10-11%. You can't bet Wang at 1.11. Silva versus Llontop. Obviously, Silva's a floor fighter, but I favour him to win. Josiane Nunes versus Jacqueline. I'm going to go with the underdog there. Danny Silva versus Buzukja. I think Danny Silva grinds out a decision. Zach Reese versus Medina. Zach Reese, a lot of unknowns there, but I do think he's the more likely winner. Steep line though. Edmen versus GM3. Edmen's a fighter who's got flaws, but he should be the more likely winner. Steep line at 1.33 though. Michael Morales versus Magny. Magny's a weasel. He's an annoying fighter, just the way he like pushes people up, people against the clinch and stuff. But Michael Morales is the more likely winner in my opinion. Valentin versus Loder. Actually, that's a fight I just missed. I just clocked. I knew I was forgetting a fight. Damn UFC website. Loder versus Valentin. Sorry, this is at the end. We'll start off with Valentin. So Valentin, very, very strong, explosive athlete, aggressive, powerful, swinger, tries to use his physicality, power and size to impose his will to win his fights. Not entirely convinced with his level yet, just because he had zero resistance. Loder, on the other hand, his striking is mainly used to set up his grappling and wrestling game. Definitely does not feel more fully comfortable when it comes to his striking. Likes to find the outskirts. Prediction standpoint, obviously both guys are pretty unproven, but I think I like Valentin Robert to just kind of hulk this one out, dog this one out, and get the win. So yeah, Valentin's going to be my pick in that matchup. Cool. Yeah, cool. Super duper appreciate everyone tuning in. I was going to go through the rest of the card, but I think it's going to mess the video up too much. But yeah, thank you very much for everyone tuning in. Super duper appreciate it as always. And yeah, good luck with your bets this weekend. And let me know who you guys are picking, betting down below.